In a world so unlike yours, with hidden things behind the doors, like watching eyes. Oh my God. Mother. Sister. Madman. Have I lost my mind, or am I just lost inside it? This feeling keeps...
Hello everyone, it's Conduit here. I know that I haven't been uploading at all recently, and honestly I'm still blown away that my channel is almost at 500 subscribers, although I've only put about 6 videos out. But I just finished my second year of university here in Canada, and I'm looking to get back into this YouTube community. And just as a side note, I would really love to thank those of you that have listened to my newest song that I posted here a few weeks ago. Music is truly my passion, and although I was thinking about taking it down, the positive comments that I've been receiving has made me decide to keep it up. I would much rather you check out my music than my stories any day, so if you would like to support that, please subscribe to my music channel, Conduit Music, on YouTube here, and go throw a like to Ryan Gunther Music on Facebook. If you're wondering, that is my original song played in the intro. It's called Mindless, and it's track 10 off of my album that I put out in 2014, called Constant Reality Shifts. I'm going to have some links in the description. I'm not trying to shamelessly promote myself here. Well, yeah, I am, honestly, but please check that out if you're interested. I know most channels like this don't usually show their faces right from the beginning, or even at all, but I want this to be different. I want it to be personal, and I want to interact with all of you, hopefully with some Q&A and live stream type stuff, if the channel grows any bigger. Anyway, my name is Ryan. It's very nice to meet you all. I don't want this channel to be just me reading stories all the time, so I have some neat ideas that I want to tell you guys more about, but at the end of this video. So stay tuned. For now, what you're about to hear is a completely true story that happened to me a little over a year ago during my first year of university. Please enjoy. I know I didn't. I lived with 4 of my best friends at the time. It was nearly perfect at the beginning. 5 guys in their own house, smoking weed, drinking too much beer, playing video games, and finally getting away from living with our parents for the last 19 years. Of course, I was focusing on school as well, but I'm a drama student, and our work tends to be a little more physical and in class, so I had quite a bit of time to enjoy my newly found freedom coming from a small town of about 18,000 into a city of about 100,000. Throughout high school, my friends and I did quite a lot of experimenting with different drugs such as mushrooms, acid, and of course pot. We never got into the non-natural stuff like ecstasy and that garbage, but we were definitely experienced in psychedelics, myself personally having taken mushrooms probably around 40 to 50 times since the age of 17. But those days are well over, and if I have any advice for those of you who are young and want to experiment with psychedelics, it's that you should be extremely careful who and where you are getting what you are going to be putting into your body. That goes for anything. And secondly, get it out while you're young and leave it behind, because the mental trauma that can be caused by one bad trip can last far longer than the 7 to 10 hours you're tripping for. Here's an example of that. Like I said, my friends and I experimented quite a bit throughout high school, other than my one buddy, Matt, who only ever really smoked weed. So by the time we were all 19 and moving in together to start our post-secondary education, we had all slowed down on taking any sort of drugs other than smoking weed habitually. But as we wanted to cool, Matt wanted to adventure. And all the psychedelic adventures in high school that he missed out, he wanted those now. He wanted to try shrooms for the first time. And as an experienced group of space travelers, my friends and I were excited to trip with Matt. School started, and after a couple weeks, all of the boys found some free time to trip on a Friday night. We were all really excited, and so was Matt, as this was going to be his first time. Well, that night was strange, and it began a stream of events that led to today. And today, most people would look at Matt, and the first thing that would come to mind is junkie. From the moment the mushrooms set in for the first time, Matt let off an extremely dark and uncomfortable vibe. For anybody with any experience in psychedelics, you know that one person's bad vibes spread throughout the entire group and can leave a lingering feeling in the room. He talked about death a lot, and although he would have his happy, excitable, and relating tripping moments. He would suddenly do weird things such as stare at you with his eyes as wide as possible, a terrified look on his face. When you would ask him what was wrong, he would come out of it and ask what was happening and where he was. Being on mushrooms as well, this is extremely alarming and it sends signals to your brain telling you to get the hell out. The next 2 hours was Matt coming in and out of consciousness, laughing uncontrollably and then looking terrified, passing out and repeating. Long story short, we were absolutely mortified of that situation, and it turned all of us off from doing mushrooms again, especially with Matt. The next day, though, when we were all sober, Matt explained that he had never tripped so hard in his life. "Well, fucking right you haven't. We thought you were going to die, man," my friends and I exclaimed. But Matt didn't see the experience as tragic or bad trip at all. The way he explained it, he was having the most fun in his entire life, all while it seemed like he was having the world's worst panic attack for 2 hours. I should have known shit was going to get way heavier from there. I made the mistake of doing mushrooms with Matt one more time just a few months later, as he assured me that he could handle his shit now. I was hesitant, but I went in head first, as again, you need to go into it with a positive attitude. Little did I know that this mushroom trip would be the cause of my now social anxiety issues. Matt, my best friend Adam, and I walked over to a very good friend's apartment to buy some mushrooms and hang out for a little bit while we took them. It was going great, as Adam and I always had a good time tripping together, and Matt was acting fine. We were smoking bowls, talking and listening to The Districts on my buddy's record player. It was awesome and so relaxing. And then my buddy pulls out a small baggie that had 2 capsules of pure MDMA in it that he said his engineering friend made just days ago. As I said in the beginning, my friends and I never really fucked with drugs that aren't natural, so we were immediately uninterested. But Matt just started to get into other drugs than weed recently, so he was extremely interested in that MDMA. Now remember, Adam, Matt, and myself were already on 3 grams of mushrooms each. Matt is now interested in buying some MDMA, a drug that he has never done and was made by a chemical engineer who we don't know in the slightest. Adam and I are smarter than that. Matt, unfortunately, bought a capsule of that MDMA and instantly took it, which sent a tornado of anxiety through my body. At this point, Adam and I were tripping pretty heavily, so our judgments weren't clear either. But in hindsight, I wish we would have just stayed at my buddy's apartment so that we could have had at least one sober person around to rationalize our thoughts later on. We walked back home, which is about 15 minutes, so by the time we arrived and sat down to enjoy a Jim Jeffries stand-up special on Netflix, we were all tripping quite intensely. I was really on edge knowing that Matt had taken that capsule of MDMA, but I was trying my hardest to forget about it. We sat in silence watching the television, with myself in a chair sitting slightly behind both Matt and Adam so I could see their faces if I wanted to. After about 20 minutes, the jokes from the comedian on the TV were getting extremely raunchy and dirty, which Adam and I both find very funny if presented correctly. Matt, though, was slowly starting to gain this sinister look on his face. Glaring at the TV, he began to grind his teeth and sweat profusely. "Matt, are you okay, dude?" "Turn it off," he said in a very hostile voice. I didn't say a word, picked up the remote and shut it down. The things that he was saying, I wish I could just jump through the TV and strangle that motherfucker to death. Adam and I were silent for a moment. I was shaking inside. "They're just jokes, dude," I said. "They're meant to be offensive, that's what this guy does." But he was not having it, and that sinister look would not leave his face as he glared at a now blank TV screen. "Let's go upstairs and smoke some weed or something," Adam said, looking at me with an obvious "let's get the hell out of this atmosphere" look that I fully agreed with. We went upstairs and smoked, but the tension followed, as Matt was now sitting with us, staring off into nothing, that angry glare still not leaving his face. That was when he began muttering nonsense. Just like the first trip, but 100 times worse, he was now coming in and out of consciousness, saying utter gibberish with an extremely alarming, wide-eyed stare that my friends and I knew all too well at that point. I could barely take it. I did not know what anxiety felt like until that moment. But it wasn't over yet. Adam went outside to have a cigarette, leaving me alone, oblivious to the fact that I was sitting beside Matt in complete distress of what might happen. Matt slowly stopped with the random outbursts of gibberish, but now, and to my complete horror, he was making very obvious eye motions toward a knife that was sitting on the table in the middle of the room. Now Matt collects them, so on any normal day, a knife out on the table was normal since we often looked at and played around with them. Now from this point forward in the story, looking back on it, I believe that I was over-imagining situations in my head, but I am also very glad that I did not take any chances, seeing where Matt's life has taken him today. I was at a complete loss for what to do, as I was now alone with Matt, who was tripping uncontrollably and who I think is staring at a knife with awful intentions. I did not want to run out of the room and leave him alone in fear that he would hurt himself, but that was also the last place I wanted to be. I was constantly shifting my vision to meet Matt's eyes, checking if he was still looking at that knife. He was, but also he noticed me watching him, watching the knife. I was frozen. This is what a bad trip feels like. His hand flinches just an inch, but my drug-induced mind instantly chooses fight over flight, and I grab the knife in a split second, jumping up and holding it out of view and reach. I began crying. Matt stared at me with those fucking eyes again, wide and obviously scared of me due to the fact that I was now wielding a knife. In basically gibberish, I told Matt that he was freaking me the fuck out, and I sprinted through the house to my room, shut my door behind me and lied in bed, feeling incredibly anxious but also so amazingly comfortable and safe knowing that I was locked away in my room. Adam, now inside from his cigarette, dealt with the situation that I had caused. There was no way I was dealing with that now. I calmed down after about 30 minutes and I enjoyed the rest of my trip in my room, staring at the ceiling and letting my mind wander. Apparently, as I was locked away in my room, Matt was extremely disappointed that I ran away and couldn't enjoy the rest of the trip with them, which blew my mind because he was not even able to make a sentence when I was with him not even seconds ago. Everyone told me that I was acting ridiculous, but what if I told you that Matt is now an addict, selling and doing drugs for a living? That he is extremely suicidal and will apparently threaten to hurt himself and others while under the influence. I know this because he still lives in my city, and I have a friend who was still involved with him for a while, but became almost permanently fucked up after taking a tab of acid, or what he thought was acid, that Matt sold to him. Long story short, just don't do drugs, everybody. Keep your head on straight. Go to school if that's what you want to do. Follow your passions. Live the life the way that you want to live it. But please, do not fuck yourself up. Because I've seen it happen way too many times. And I'm done living that way myself. Hey guys, it's Conduit here. And thank you so much for listening. I hope that I could teach you at least something in this story about drugs, because I was a pretty stupid teenager, I'm not even gonna lie, and I did a lot of shit that I shouldn't have, and I came out okay. I'm still in university, everything's fine, but like I said at the end there, I have seen a lot of people go downhill, and it's really sad to see, and there's a lot that we can learn from hearing stories like this, I think. So, thank you all so much for listening. And of course, at the beginning I said that I had some things that I wanted to tell you guys about coming up for this channel. I'm in drama, as I have said at the beginning, and I'm a very creative person, I think. So what I want to start doing is writing my own stories, but I don't just want to write them and put them on the channel. I want you guys to put one sentence so that I can start a story. Just one sentence to start a horror story. And I will write something probably about 5 minutes long, just a horror story. And then I'll do something like 2 truths and a lie. So I'll do 2 true stories, and then I'll do a story that I wrote and made up. And you guys can guess which one is the one that I made up. And, I mean, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself there, because I mean, I have to write some decent stories, but I love it. And I want to do something different than what everyone else is doing on YouTube. So let me know what you think. If you like that idea, leave me one sentence for some sort of horror story that I can write, and the next video will hopefully include that. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.